Think about this topic is Libby from Jimmy Neutron. Not the years, I've had a handful of characters who redesign I disliked for those exact reasons. But then there's also been many redesigns that I actually enjoy. Ones that feel thoughtful, intentional, and rooted in the character's identity. And one of my favorites that always comes to mind when I think about this topic is Libby from Jimmy Neutron. Not only because of how good her redesign looks on a visual level, but because of the story behind why she even got a redesign in the first place. What it represents matters and why it's so important to viewers like me who look like her. This wasn't just a random design or a quiet visual tweak. It was something that was earned through narrative, culture, and character. This redesign...
I gotta ask y'all, right? Was Jimmy Neutron one of y'all favorite cartoon shows on Nickelodeon? Or did y'all love like the other type of Cartoon Network? Or y'all just didn't care about Jimmy Neutron? Like
happened in Jimmy Neutron Season 2, Episode 1, titled Beach Party Mummy. The episode starts off in a pretty typical Jimmy Neutron way. Jimmy creates a gadget in an attempt to bring Carl's fish back to life, and initially he thinks that it fails. And disappointed, they leave the lab, assuming that the experiment didn't work. But that's when the fish comes back to life without them knowing, setting the stage for everything that happens later on. Later at school, Miss Fowl puts on a documentary about ancient Egypt and mummies. And this immediately causes the students to get bored. So Jimmy and the rest of the friend group sneaks out and takes a trip to Egypt to see some real mummies. And what starts off as a typical adventure quickly turns into something more meaningful, especially for Libby. During their trip, they discover an ancient temple and see a mural of an Egyptian queen who looks identical to Libby. She then discovers that queen is actually her ancestor. This discovery instantly reframes her character in a way that we hadn't seen before, now being connected to something ancient, powerful, and historical. Later, the kids find the tombs of some mummies, and Carl accidentally brings...
I didn't realize being connected to ancient history would be the sickest thing ever. Like, I wouldn't mind being connected to
them to life using the gadget that Jimmy made earlier. Now fearing for their lives, Jimmy has a brain blast and comes up with an idea to braid Libby's hair so that she'll look like the Egyptian queen in the mural. This way she'll be able to command the mummies to go to sleep for 1 trillion years. And his idea actually works. Libby steps into this role effortlessly and the mummies obey her orders. And I believe this worked so well for her because she wasn't pretending. She was reclaiming something that already belonged to her bloodline. After that, the kids were safely able to leave the temple and return back to school. I think this was such a creative way to redesign Libby's character because the change didn't come out of nowhere. It was rooted in history and intention. And I especially like that earlier in the episode, Libby states that her family tree goes back to Egypt. That detail was planted early on, quietly setting the stage for everything that follows.
One thing I did like about the episode wasn't bad, and the redesign wasn't that terrible, but I hate how y'all got her hair slipped back and with like a ponytail or something. Like, keeping her here like this could have been better instead of going back to that other redesign y'all had.
Her connection to the queen, the significance of the mural, and ultimately her redesign. It made the transformation feel earned and meaningful. It wasn't just about giving Libby a new hairstyle. It was about giving her a deeper story and a visual identity that reflected something powerful about who she is. And I think that is so special and impactful that the writers and animators made this a permanent change for Libby. That fact is really important because this wasn't just a temporary makeover done for the sake of the episode's plot. And it also wasn't something that got quietly undone in the next episode like nothing ever happened. The writers really committed to this. After that episode, Libby didn't go back to her old hairstyle. The braids stayed, and that decision alone really tells us that what happened.
See, I love that new design should be awful. Like the new design don't match up and tell a story like how the old design is. And the other time, I love the new design because sometimes the new design can tell what the old design was trying to say to us.
And that episode really mattered. It shows that this wasn't just an aesthetic choice, but it was a moment of growth and self-discovery that the show respected enough to carry forward. And I love that they made that decision because permanence gives the redesign weight. It turns Libby's new look into a visual reminder of her history, her lineage, and the power that she tapped into during that episode. Every time she appears on the screen afterwards, we're a reminder of her connection to her ancestor, and the moment that she quite literally stepped into her role of authority and command. The redesign becomes a part of who she is. It's not just something that happened to her. And I also think that it's important to note that Libby has always been a confident character. Even before the redesign, she was outspoken, intelligent, and never afraid to stand her ground. She wasn't lacking in confidence or self-worth to begin with. But once she discovered that her ancestor was an Egyptian queen and she got this new hairstyle, her confidence went up even more, and I absolutely love that. It's like she already knew that she was that girl deep down, but this situation just added to it. It gave her a deeper understanding of herself and where she comes from, and you can feel that in the way that she carries herself afterward. Her braids are symbolic. They represent the legacy and ownership of her identity in a way that feels affirming rather than performative, and that made me feel so happy to see as a viewer, especially as someone watching and recognizing the significance of that moment beyond the surface. Seeing a black girl character not only learn about her powerful ancestry, but also keep like the physical expression of that discovery meant everything. It felt validating.
It doesn't feel validating to how she used her family tree and realized that she has history in her blood. For her to adapt to that, make it even better in the episode.
Intentional. And it felt like a show understood that moments like this don't have to be temporary to be impactful. It can be lasting, just like the confidence that they inspire. I think that so many black people really appreciated the way that they animated this hairstyle on Libby. Because a lot of times when it comes to animating black hair, there isn't much attention to detail to truly show the versatility of the many different...
Basically, what she's saying is, when you're doing a black cartoon character, and you're doing an actual black Negro here, you have to make Negro here tell a story. If it's not like telling a story about how they became this person or how they became something, then you can tell it's not meaningful, it's not storytelling, it's not telling what we need to know about this character.
Textures and hairstyles. Time and time again, animation has often defaulted to the easiest option when it comes to textured hair. They oversimplify it, smooth it down, or stylize it in a way that removes the texture altogether. We typically see characters with hair that feels flat or generic. And I'm sure that from an animator's perspective, it's easier to draw hair this way. It's probably less time consuming, less complex to animate, and safer when you're working under tight deadlines or with evolving technology.
It depends on certain design. When you do like daily channel design, well, most of their cartoon design be so hard, and then when it comes down to like the fur on monster hard, and then the hair, I can see why they saying about the hair and the easy texture, so that's why they make it the way it is.
In earlier 3D CGI, simplifying shapes and textures was often a go-to solution. But from the perspective of the viewers, it can come off as lazy or like the animators just don't care enough. It can feel like an afterthought rather than something that's worth care and precision. And that's why I always appreciate when animators go the extra mile to add texture and detail to hair of black characters. It shows that the character's appearance wasn't rushed or generalized, and that their identity mattered enough to be handled with care. And I definitely appreciate that they did that with Libby's braids. Even knowing that this was during the early development of 3D CGI, the animators still took the risk of adding these details and pushing the limits of this new technology instead of shying away from it. Instead of oversimplifying Libby's hair, like we've done before with other black characters, they really took their time to show the beauty of each strand crossing to the next to make the braid. You can really tell that it's braided hair, not just a curvy pattern or line slapped onto her scalp. The crisscrossing and the way that the braids sit and move all feels intentional.
You can and that matters. Tell here it actually like a real braided black natural hair. I didn't know that.
Because representation isn't just about having a black character on the screen. It's about how that character is presented. When little girls with braids watch these shows, they see characters who look just like them wearing the same braids and hairstyles as them. And that connection is powerful. When I was growing up watching this show and would see Libby confidently wearing her braids, it made me feel proud to wear mine too. There was a sense of recognition there of feeling seen. And I was able to immediately identify that they were braids because of the extra mile that animators took to add that texture. That clarity mattered to me as a kid, even if I couldn't fully articulate that at the time. That's why that intentional step to capture these traditional black hairstyles and textures in animated shows is so important. It shapes how black kids see themselves. And it reinforces that
it definitely do shape how black people see themselves, and it make you actually appreciate who you are, no matter what you do. And it make you appreciate life and not down yourself every time.
her hair isn't something to be simplified, hidden, or fixed. Libby's braids weren't just a design choice. They were a statement. And for viewers that grew up...
I didn't realize Redesign we were talking about in the whole video was Libby here. So you couldn't say anything good about the redesign. I get to hear a good redesign, but there's nothing else about it. So we're just gonna go in detail throughout the whole story about black girls here and Libby redesign here. Why did I even choose to pick this? At this point, I don't even think I don't get any type of subscriber. I'm not saying don't subscribe. Actually subscribe for real.
seeing themselves reflected in her, that statement meant everything. Before the animators decided to change Libby's hair, she had her original ponytail with bangs. And in that original design, you can clearly see that the texture of her ponytail is different from the texture of her bangs. The ponytail has more volume and texture, while the bangs were noticeably straight. Because of that contrast, we can reasonably assume that in order to maintain that hairstyle with the straight bangs, Libby would have to frequently flat iron her bangs, which isn't realistic for someone with that hair type. And most people know that constant heat in the same sections of your hair can be incredibly damaging, especially to a natural curl pattern. It leads to breakage, heat damage, and curls that don't bounce back in the way that they should.
What I'm saying, y'all, is girl does their hair totally different than what guys do their hair. Cause a lot of guys only get like I think 3 or 4, and it always be any type of dread. No matter if freeform, wicks, or regular dread, curls, waves, or braids, or loca. Right?
And obviously, I know that this is just a cartoon, and Libby is a fictional character. She's not standing in front of a mirror with a flat iron every morning. But fictional characters have real impacts on real people, and that's why these conversations matter. The visuals we grow up seeing don't exist in a vacuum. They influence how we see ourselves.
Libby did it. I don't even think she started off as a background character. Like, have a kid character that you think that was supposed to be a background character actually becoming one of the main characters is really dope. Like, I love seeing characters like that. At the end of this video.
Kid, I actually used to wear my hair just like hers when she had the ponytail and bangs. I wanted to look like her. So I would constantly flat iron my hair and keep it straight to maintain that hairstyle. Because that was the look that I associated with confidence. But over time, my hair started to get fried. It became so damaged and my curl pattern was gone in certain areas. And I eventually had to do a big chop just to get my hair back healthy. And I say all of this to say, this is why it's so important to have characters in media who not just look like us, but also have hair like us. It's so important to see natural textures and also protective styles. Libby's redesign didn't just change her look. It shifted the message. It showed that our hair doesn't need to be straightened, tamed, or modified to be worthy of admiration. And that's exactly why moments like this matter, and why they deserve to be talked about. Hairstyles aren't just about appearance. They're tied to culture, history, care, and self-expression. And when
hairstyle is culture, expression, and it tells people about you, who you are. And hairstyles will be a meaning of you. Right? So no matter what type of hairstyle you got, if it's not something that you like, or if it don't fit you, then it's not you. What I'm saying, y'all, get a hairstyle that fits you. Don't get a hairstyle because you see other people have it. Get it because you like it, not because other people have it and you want to copy
it. Like this take the time to represent that variety honestly. It sends a message that these hairstyles aren't temporary trends. They're beautiful and worthy of being seen. When Libby's hair was changed to braids, not only was it a pivotal moment for her stepping into a new level of confidence and fully identifying that her ancestor is a queen, but it was also a pivotal moment for me and for so many other young girls who look like Libby. Seeing the way she embraces her braids without hesitation creates a ripple effect. It gives young viewers permission to do the same and to wear their hair proudly. To stop seeing it as something that needs to be altered in order to fit in, and to embrace it just as confidently as she does. And going back to the point that Libby would have had to flat iron her bangs frequently, causing damage over time, just like I did when I was a kid and wore that hairstyle every day. It adds another layer to why this redesign is so meaningful. Not only are the braids that Libby wears.
I forgot, y'all. I actually did say that. Like, for her to keep her hair like that, she would have a flat iron her hair like that. Not every day, but she would have to do that for 1 or 2 months to keep her hair like that, so her hair can be trained to be in that position. Because whatever type of hair you do, right, no matter the curls, waves, braids, dreads, if you don't maintain those type of style, your hair is not gonna be trained to be in that style. Even if you cut your dreads off and start getting curls or waves, if you not train your hair to stay curly or get wavy, you're not going to be able to have waves or good looking curls.
There's a culture hairstyle with deep historical significance, but they're also a protective hairstyle. They prioritize hair health and reduce manipulation and heat damage. And they align with the reality of caring for natural hair in a way that's sustainable. Libby's redesign is powerful because it proves that small creative decisions can have a lasting impact. It wasn't just a visual update.
I'm still not thinking, but I'm still mad that we're sitting here just talking about her redesign. And I thought y'all were talking about her character look, not the thing hair. We're here talking about her hair. That's why the talk didn't say anything about it. I should have think before I even picked this video.
It was a moment where storytelling, culture, and care intersected. The writers and animators didn't just change her hair. They honored her history, culture, identity, and the audience that saw themselves in her. By grounding the redesign in narrative and then committing to it permanently, they showed that growth in a character can be both meaningful and intentional. What makes this moment so powerful is that it didn't ask Libby to become someone new. It just allowed her to become more of who she already was. Her braids weren't about fixing or improving her. They were about revealing a deeper truth about her lineage, her confidence, and her presence. And in doing so, the show validated the beauty of black hair, black history, and black girlhood in a way that feels organic. And for viewers like me, that matters. Because representation isn't just about being included. It's about being reflected with care and accuracy. And that's why this moment still resonates years later.
Wrap it up for this one. If you find this helpful, hit that subscribe circle right in the top corner so you don't miss next week's drop. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, I put together a full playlist right here. Otherwise, you do things you love this special video.
Misunderstood, so misunderstood. My temper is bad, my mission is good. I'll never be labeled as good.